I'm feeling
live
good. Yeah.
from Peter Thiel's non-organic, inhumane, lactose-stuffed, caged beef cheeseburger emporium. It's a very special Woke Data Wednesday. Joined as always by the Lurker and the Madman.
That
I
name's
know
gonna
you hate
die.
that. Oh, I'll change it. I'm a member of the CCP. I just learned that today. I'm
Oh,
Just
officially
joined
a
my
member of the
enemies
CCP.
list.
In today's very man-flavored bag called April 13th, 2022, Peter Thiel's stuttery ESG insurrection. That's it. That's the show.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And for all you fans out there who are desperate for shorter shows, maybe I apologize for today. Today might not be as short, and I'm really just talking about one of Matt's dumb friends. But we'll try to get back to like normal short form shows. But here's the thing. We discovered this speech by Peter Thiel. He was the keynote speech at the Bitcoin 2022 conference. And we just felt like we had to go over it. We had to do it. So we're doing it
It
today.
was actually sent to us by a listener and future fancy expert, Andrew Drost, who's coming to the show
Yeah,
soon.
thank you, Andrew, for which now that we know that you like troll the internet for weird QAnon videos, we're even more excited. To talk
Yeah,
to you.
we got to tap that more.
All right. Oh, Emma already has a picture up for those of you watching at home. I think this picture kind of sums up the entire speech to me. And this is the way the video works. You have a little inset there of Peter Thiel, and then you have some goofy pictures that he put together. And this is his one demonstrating the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't. And there's a picture of a guy, I guess a guy in a MAGA hat shooting at the camera with a machine gun. And then what's the other guy? Like a hipster? What is he?
The other guy is clearly in San Francisco.
And what? So he's gay? Is that it? What he is? What is he? Who is he?
I think he's just like dorky. I don't
Urban?
know, like a tourist. I don't know.
No, he's not a tourist.
He looks weak.
He's
Oh.
weak.
Bitcoin is shooting you in the face.
Right in the
with its
face. Yeah.
strength.
Yeah.
I'm going
Ethereum
Ethereum all
is
the way
weak.
based on this imagery.
Yeah, a big, burly, bearded dude in a MAGA hat shooting at you. That's what
Perfect.
Bitcoin is.
Just what I
right.
want.
And right out of the gate,
Yeah.
the first images in this presentation, Peter Thiel is planting his flag, and I care so little about all of you that I'm literally going to make a presentation. It's like I didn't have like an assistant help make it pretty. I literally did clip art from Getty Images, and I just put some letters next to them.
It's
It was
creepy.
nothing.
It's creepy mom's basement kind of conspiratorial weirdness. That's what it is.
It's really a master class in how to both weave a conspiracy theory in with not caring about any visuals at all.
All right, so this is Peter Thiel. Remind people who Peter Thiel is, Matt.
Peter
you
Thiel
covered
was
him well,
one of the founders of PayPal. He was the angel investor in Facebook. He was the angel on Zuckerberg's shoulder. He is
the Zuck groomer, yeah.
He is a libertarian, the original libertarian, arguably, and he has a number of companies that he sort of got acolyted, including he's been an early investor in Airbnb, Palantir was one of his companies he founded. He is really anti-government. He is really anti, shareholder rights. He's a lot of anti. He's anti stuff.
He's an angry
Yes, he
dude.
is.
And before we go over this, what is his connection to Bitcoin? I didn't even look that up. Does he have one or just loves a fanboy?
I think he was early in his career, pre-billionaire. He loved the idea of not being traceable ever. So I think this is like in his blood, the fanboy blood of Bitcoin or whatever.
Yeah, he's a great hider. I mean, for as powerful he is and rich as he is, and for the many opinions he has, you don't see him a lot. He's pale, he's stuttery, he hides, he's angry. He's all those things that I love deep down. All right, so the video starts with the Peter Thiel background, kind of establishes the guru cred, right? He plays an old tape of himself, and it's really meant to show you that he knew everything before it was even a thing, right? He's the master. He's the Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever. He's the dude, and here's where he introduces this concept of monetary sovereignty. Okay.
I'm sorry. You wrote in the pre-production notes. You wrote the best phrase I've ever heard for every opening at a conference ever, which is guru grooming.
Yeah.
Guru grooming is basically Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The whole construct is to
Or
make
cult.
you believe,
Or church.
like that this person is worth fetishizing, and
Yes.
it's this like slow play up to it. Like, let me show you my genius from before, and let me show you, like, let me indoctrinate you very casually with my weak ass PowerPoint skills, but billions of dollars. It is a whole thing, and that's what he's doing. That's
Look,
the conference.
And you're right, because it's not like going to watch a basketball game and you see that LeBron James say is really good, and it sticks out to you. Yeah, you have to be told that this guy's important, that he's smart, that he's better than you, that he knows all.
He starts the conference
He's
with
your
that.
he's your monetary priest. All right, so Emma grabbed some clips for us. I'm not going to play all of them. She grabbed like 14 of them, but I'm not going to. I'm not.
That is called production.
Yeah, if I had my way, I would run all 14. I would sit here for 2 hours and do this, but Matt doesn't like that. So we'll just play a few clips. Let's start with the guru entrance. So he plays the tape of him as a child, and then he walks out on stage to a thundering something.
Here it is. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me here. It's
Well, okay. I'm glad that he starts off with a stutter, because the dude. I'm not making fun of stutterers. I stutter sometimes. This is why I script out some stuff, because it removes a lot of stuttering. But the dude just, he's got a bit of a mess. Okay, I want to ask you too. First of all, he's a keynote speaker at this conference. He's Mr. Bitcoin. Rate that applause. What was with that? That didn't sound very thunderous to me. I mean, what was that?
That sounded like applause coming from people who are really into Bitcoin. That sounded just about right to me.
Like they don't have They don't have enough muscle power to like actually create an actual thundering.
That requires arm strength. They have just finger typing muscles.
So that's actually the sound of 4,000 fingers touching each other.
And Matt, my hat's off to you, because one time you called Zuck the incubated goose. Is that what you called him?
Yes. Yeah.
Does Peter Thiel not walk like a goose? Like there's something about that walk. I think you're a genius.
He not only does it, he actually walks. His walk strikes me somewhere between like Bill Gates goosey and self-loathing. It's like he really threads that needle really well. In fact, he even, as you listen to him, he even sounds like a bizarro Bill Gates. Like he's like Bill Gates's shadow.
Like a little bit of a little bit
like
of
a
that.
little bit of like a Kermit.
I didn't know he was a Sesame Street character.
Yeah, it kind of is.
They all are, Emma. All right. So then he blathers on, talks about, he's got some good corny sections, like what is money, and he says some stuff like it's not as good as toilet paper or wallpaper. So he's really setting you up there.
Yeah, as he has billions of it.
Yeah, and then he has this awkward exchange where he actually he shows his cash, and then he goes up to the audience and he throws it into the audience, and
he does.
He gets a little bit of a titter for that. It's creepy. It's weird.
It wasn't a titter. It was more a confused.
On Twitter.
And the funny thing is, it's like he's trying to act youthful and not like an old man, and yet he's railing against money, like it's not important, and what is it, and it's useless, and it's weird. None of it makes sense.
I am so indifferent to money. I will throw it into this crowd. All $3 that I brought. Just don't anyone try and take it from me, because I will sue the pants off of you.
He's making some grander point that how could paper be worth anything? It's so weird. Like what's the deal with that, dude?
What's the deal, paper man?
All right, then he goes into PayPal. I don't know if Emma can actually post these images, but he's got a great old picture of him and our favorite troll, Elon Musk. Because Elon was part of the PayPal mafia, was he not?
He was.
Here's the picture, and Speaking of guru
Look
grooming,
at that picture. Look at that. Yeah.
they look like a pair of future guru groomers in this picture. They look
Yeah, is it any
like
wonder that Elon's like one of his ready insults is pedo guy? He's calling a hero who was a diver who saved minors. He was calling him a pedophile. Is it
Yeah.
any wonder looking at this picture that this is where his weird troll mind goes to? Just putting it out there. You don't have to answer that. It could be rhetorical.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay. This is why I pulled this section because he talks about how they probably got a lot very wrong at PayPal, and that, for example, they didn't even know the difference between the U.S. Treasury and the central bank. And I think he means the Federal Reserve, right? There's no central bank.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
it's the Federal Reserve. Yeah.
Yeah. So my bigger point here is that just a reminder, maybe just a subtle reminder to people who should be paying attention, is that he doesn't know what's going on either. None of these
No.
people know what's going on.
Actually, it was really heartening to see that part because we're a startup and we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
And apparently, you can not know what the hell you're doing and make billions of dollars.
Wait, really? Is that where we're heading towards?
Over my
Where
dead
I,
body.
I hope to
Oh.
be keynoting Bitcoin 2029.
I would love that. All right, so let's get on to the real heart of this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nonsense, but here's why we really pulled this: is we get to the battle. This is about an 11-minute mark, and the battle. Look, he spends about 10 minutes warming you up, creating the enemies, all that, and then at the very end, he tells you who the battle is and what to do about it. But let's get to where he first introduces the term woke. Play
But
clip
even
number
being in a
7.
stock, you're effectively in something that's like a government-linked entity. Companies, woke companies, are sort of quasi-controlled by the government in a way that Bitcoin never will be. And in that sort of a world,
Okay, so here's what he's doing here. He says that Bitcoin is always the most honest market, and he's comparing it to the other market, the equities market, which consists of woke companies which are quasi-controlled by the government. That's the setup here.
The amazing part about all of what he does
Mhm.
for the next like 12 minutes is childish binary battles
Yeah, exactly.
of good
Yeah.
and evil.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It
Yeah.
is like he lives in like some sort of weird fantasy novel where it's
Well-
just like the bad wizard and the good warrior.
More than that, you mentioned it in pre-production. You talked about he had some reference to Star Wars, and then we started
He
talking about
does.
how Joseph Campbell had the what was it? The Power of Mythology. What was the
It was
series he had?
the hero's journey, and it was the power of I can't remember the name of the book. It's awesome. It's a good book.
And that got a lot of airtime during the George W. Bush years, because George W. Bush really leaned into this thought, this good versus evil thing. And this is you're right. This is exactly what Peter Thiel does. He comes up with a list of enemies. He says things like, "This is what we have to fight. We're going to try to expose them." So you're exactly right. It's just a bunch of childish fighting.
It is bizarrely, the quote he actually says from Star Wars is, he says it a bit later, and he says, "This is not the currency you're looking for. Move along, move along." Like he's a Bitcoin Jedi talking to the evil empire. And it's like, I can't decide whether he's smart enough to manipulate your emotions. And he's like a smart guy manipulating your emotions using black and white binaries, or he is like George W. Bush, a total moron who simplifies everything into binaries in order to exist in the world. Either way, the whole thing is like a child wrote it.
Yeah, there's no winners there, but I think
Yeah,
I'm leaning towards the latter there, because what struck me was he's calling Bitcoin the most honest market, but then he calls it a political movement, and I'm thinking the whole idea of politics is that you have to kind of remove honesty from the equation, because it's like a diplomatic battle of whose ideas should come into power, right? It's not there's nothing, and I'm not trying to make a big political statement here,
Oh
but
my
that's
God.
not the nature of politics. It's not about, just laying out the facts and telling you what's right and wrong. It's about a power struggle.
I mean,
So
that
he's
buries
already
the lead,
contradicting
though.
himself. What's that?
It buries the lead that he is calling like basically cryptocurrency, the honest market.
Yeah.
In a way, he's right, because it does honestly launder money for Russian oligarchs. But in another way, it's literally a haven for like whatever behavior you want to do that's dishonest, because you're hiding behind anonymity to do it, right? Like it's
Yes. And here's another quote. He says there's sort of a lot of them. This is when he brings up his enemies list. He says there's sort of a lot of them. They tend to have the sort of nameless, faceless bureaucrat perspective, which is of course one of the ways they hide. And honestly, I can't think of a better description of Peter Thiel than a nameless, faceless bureaucrat, really. I mean, of all the people we cover, we're sort of the most fascinated with him, and he is the one who hides the best, right? I mean, to me, I'm wondering if it was like some kind of existential battle where he was not accepted into some club, and so he's angry at them, or I don't know, but yeah,
I mean,
I'll move on. Yeah.
you can see actually why Zuckerberg was like, as a college dropout, relatively immature, couldn't get laid according to all the anecdotes, right? Not, this isn't me saying he can't get laid. I'm sure he got laid somewhere, and I don't care. But why this would be so appealing. Somebody who feels
Sure,
like a deep
yes.
outsider,
Yeah,
who
if you're
turns
angry.
things into binary angry things where it's them against
Yes.
you, you're against the world. This guru grooming is very like effective.
Yes, especially, and we pointed this out usually as a joke, but what you don't get when you drop out of college is the understanding of why having a
Becoming an
non-binary
adult.
look at life is not the right way to handle it, right? I mean, that's one of the things that college teaches you the best is the gray area of things, right? All right, moving on. So he introduces his enemy list, and this is where he says this is what we have to fight. So who are his enemies? He really is focusing on 3 people in particular, believe it or not. I really, as I watched this video, I almost can't believe it. Like, it just seems so silly. Like it's
great.
It's so juvenile, and the pictures he chooses are ridiculous. Anyway, enemy number 1 is Warren Buffett. Okay, and what does he call him? I have the clip, but unfortunately I forgot to write down. What do you call him? A sociopathic?
Here.
Okay.
I think the sort of the sociopathic grandpa from Omaha.
Okay. Right. And what is and
A sociopathic grandpa from Omaha.
right, which is making me a little uncomfortable because we kind of agree with them. I mean, a little bit.
A little bit.
But the picture is great too. The big picture of Warren Buffett with the quote "rat poison" right by him. Anyway,
under his face. Yeah.
and again, he introduces the concept of wokeness here. He talks a lot about woke companies, and he says that they have some sort of institutional bias, a list of woke companies. And I just think it's fascinating that he's associating Warren Buffett with a list of woke companies. This is the part I don't get. Clearly, a man who's not done his homework here. I don't get this.
Here's a list of the woke companies that are subsidiaries of Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay.
They include Fruit of the Loom, Jordan's Furniture, Duracell, Benjamin Moore, whose logo is actually paint covering the earth. That's the logo of the company. That honestly, that Berkshire Energy, these are some of the least woke companies. We actually looked at the management groups of all these companies. There's like 3 women and 1 black person in like 40 companies that Berkshire owns. It's insane.
So as usual, so he uses language very simplistically. He clearly hasn't done his background research. He really, again, this is a call to arms. Like, this is a battle cry. So he is leaning on this sort of old fashioned like us versus them thing. Because again, clearly this is someone who doesn't really know what's going on. He then goes on to, he makes the case that money managers, he's referring to Warren Buffett types are intentionally keeping things complicated, because if all you had to do was buy Bitcoin or it used to be gold, then what would they do? And this is a point that we don't necessarily disagree with, although I'm not saying that we're saying that Bitcoin is the answer, but I hear where he's going with this, right? I mean, we talk about Wall Street in the same way, right? That they weave a complicated web of craziness just to kind of keep themselves in a job, right?
All right. Speaking of a complicated web of craziness, we actually have a surprise guest joining us momentarily on this show. Now, Damien doesn't know anything about this.
Yeah.
This is true.
because Emma and I have been trying to organize getting Peter Thiel to join us on Business Pants.
I don't know why he wouldn't.
Now, unfortunately, Peter Thiel was either not available or threatened to sue us for everything that we're saying right now. So
Okay.
we had to go to the next best thing, which is it's Damien's birthday today.
Oh, okay. What? Yeah. And
And we're gonna play a little Damien game.
We're gonna play a little Damien.
okay, so you're
birthday game.
interrupting my brilliant
We are-
Peter Thiel piece with a Damien game.
We will come back to the brilliant Peter Thiel piece
Okay, I didn't say it was brilliant.
in a
Thank you.
second.
Oh,
Because right now we are joined by Damien's wife, Courtney.
okay.
Hi.
There she is on the live feed.
Yeah.
Joining
Look
us
at you.
now is
Yeah.
Courtney Cook, Damien's wife and better half, to play a brief Damien birthday game
This
Okay.
is so awesome.
before she has to go pick up your daughter.
Yeah, sitting by the router, I can see. Yeah, go
I know.
on, do it.
I
Come
did
on.
that intentionally. Dude, come here.
Now he's annoyed. He's like, "This is making the show longer."
I just,
I was in
He's
flow.
hungry. I know it.
It's not even that. I'm so feeble-minded and weak-minded that I feel like once I lose the Peter Thiel train of thought, I'm not going to know how to recapture it.
Well, we'll get back to it. We'll get
All right,
back
go
to
ahead.
it.
We'll
Go
get
ahead.
back to it.
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right, Emma, run our game. Let's do
All
it.
right, and just for Damien.
Yeah. Although the match game would have been better there. But that's I'll let it pass.
There's always a
next year.
criticism. You can't do
Always a
anything.
criticism. It's his birthday. He's allowed. That's fine.
That's right. That's
All
right.
right. Welcome to What Would Damien Say? A birthday game for a birthday boy who did not want to tell me when his birthday was when I asked him specifically. I asked Damien when his birthday was like a month ago, and he literally rolled his eyes and groaned at me and said, "Why?"
Actually, in fairness, that is what he does when you ask him anything.
Anything.
Almost
yeah.
anything, yeah.
That is
yeah.
so true. Great
Yeah.
points. Great points. All
I think
right.
I get to ask
So
questions.
this is Damien because it's your birthday, and
Am
I
I
know you'd
playing?
want this to be quick.
Yeah.
It's your birthday.
You're-
It's true.
You're the arbiter
Yeah.
of truth.
You get to
Okay.
be the arbiter of truth today, and this is a
Okay.
quick birthday game. So I picked 4 very Damien-esque headlines, and Matt, Courtney, and I are going to pick the headline that we believe to be Damien's favorite of the 4, and then Damien will confirm or deny
Look
as
at
the
my life. Look,
arbiter
my life's
of
been
truth.
reduced to. Look at
This
this.
is
what
what
you
the
are
world I
now.
live in.
Mhm.
Okay.
This is
This
what
is
you
it.
are.
This
All
is
right.
sad, yeah.
Headline number 1. Heiress Abigail Disney says billionaires are miserable, unhappy people, and it's time for change. The billionaire bashing needs to happen. I don't know why we're
Ooh.
being so polite. That is
Wow. I
headline
like
number
this.
1. Mhm.
Disney, Abigail Disney just needs to. I don't know why she doesn't have a podcast. She should just say
Well-
stuff all day on it.
If we ever have a board of directors, she will be someone we ask. Absolutely.
Yes.
No,
Not that we
I'm
know
not kidding.
her.
I'm not kidding.
Oh,
I know that you're not kidding, and
Yeah.
We know.
we have zero contact with her, which is great. I have
Well,
been to
fine.
Disney before, but
all right.
Yeah.
Headline number 2. A bill proposing a 4-day work week is moving through the California legislature and would target companies with 500 plus employees.
That's us.
Exactly. 501, baby.
Yeah.
Added the one today. It's Courtney. Okay. Headline number 3. Alcohol sales were on the rocks in Africa. Then along came a twist.
Now,
Haha.
you
Come on, Damien.
come on, get there.
Come
you like
on.
that. You like that.
All right,
Was
and
it,
finally, number 4,
Jack
something slightly
Dorsey?
more
I don't get that
topical
one. Yeah.
for Damien's ESG-centric brain. Elon Musk was sued by a Twitter shareholder who alleged he disclosed his stake in the social media company too late. All right, Matt, how about you go first?
Damien's reaction to the alcohol one
Yeah,
disappointing.
explain that one to me. I don't get that
was
one.
really disappointing. It's not that hard.
It's not that
alcohol sales were on the rocks in
Yeah.
Africa.
I
Then
get the
along
pun.
came a twist.
I know,
I
and
get
you
that.
like
Just
puns.
5 puns embedded in one another. That's
Okay,
it.
fine.
That's the whole thing.
Okay, fine.
I think he's really going to be torn between 4-day work week in Abigail Disney and his
Yeah.
because it's his birthday. All he wants is to work less. I'm going to go with 4-day work week is the Damien choice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I
Courtney.
can go. I will have Courtney go last because I feel
All right,
like
Courtney
she's
can
the one
go
who's
last,
going to
and
be
then
the
she can
most
say
likely
something
to be
embarrassing.
correct.
Courtney, you
yeah.
can say something embarrassing about Damien for his
Sweet.
birthday right after that.
Perfect. All right.
Something embarrassing? Okay, all right, I'll think about it.
Don't I do that by just sitting here? Yeah, go ahead, Emma.
Okay. I originally thought I was going to also go for 4-day work week because my other option is also Disney, is Abigail Disney. However, Damien is very fickle about how he feels about rich people talking about other rich people. Sometimes he's like, yeah, get the other rich people. And then sometimes he's like, you're rich too, screw you.
Yeah.
But based on his
Good
reaction about be asking Abigail Disney to be on the board, I think I'm going to go Disney.
Oh, interesting.
It's my turn.
Yeah, arbiter
your
of
turn.
truth.
Is
Okay.
Courtney the arbiter of truth?
No, you are in the end.
In what
Courtney
world?
really is. What
Oh.
Courtney says you're going to go with.
So I have very strong feelings about this.
Uh-oh.
I do.
Whoa, I'm excited.
Because, as you may or may not know, I have been laying my little head next to his little head for almost 26 years,
Whew.
Yeah.
which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Years. That sounds
And for most
horrible.
of those 26 years,
Yeah. Where's this going?
one of the big, issues in our dynamic has been the fact that my great grandfather was Walt
Yes.
Disney's mentor.
Whoa.
What?
True.
I got a number of Walt Disney originals. Somewhere in the house. I've currently lost them. I don't know where they are. He doesn't let
basement.
them. He doesn't allow them on the first floor upstairs.
Because of the Nazism?
He's just not into Disney. He's just not.
Shockingly. What, do you think I was a hypocrite? You think that after the show I'm like dusting the Disneys?
Yes.
Honey, listen, honey. I don't even know where they are. We got to find them. They're in the basement somewhere.
I'm not even comfortable with a new car. Like if we had to buy a new car, I would be super uncomfortable driving.
I
it.
want Damien to put the Disneys behind him for every show now.
I think that these signed Disneys, I mean, they're really kind of awesome. I mean, in a certain way. But I get it, Damon. I get
In
it.
a way, yeah.
Honey, I'm with you,
In an anti-Semitic
Oh, I know
way.
you're
Got
with
it.
me. I mean, you're stuck with me. I got it.
pretty much. For now and forever. Yeah, so that's been a little source of shame on my end, but, he's
Interesting.
gotten a lot of kicks out of it. Yeah.
As usual, it's all about you.
Yeah.
This is Courtney. You're coming on every show.
Yes, you are.
Happy to do it. I'm feeding our dog little treats of cheese right now. Just to
I
keep
know.
As
we're
you
TMI.
should. All right. So Courtney, your final
Yeah,
pick
what's
for
your
Damien's
pick?
headline is.
Definitely billionaires in Disney. Definitely.
All right.
Yes. All right, Damien. What is the correct answer?
Yeah, look, drum roll? No?
Yes,
Look, I feel
sure.
sorry. First of all, I feel sorry for Courtney because she has to hear most of my ranting against
That is true.
these
That's
things.
All right.
And the other person I feel sorry for is actually Emma because Emma unfortunately understands me now. So
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say that Matt, you would be right, Matt. Honestly, but that you missed one minor detail about the headlines. I think that we should have a 3-day work week.
Oh, I love
And I'm
it.
not even kidding.
Oh.
That's not meant
I
to be
know.
for a joke. Like that was my first reaction when I heard 4 days. I'm like, 4? What are we doing? Like why are we
This is
stopping
the man
at
I
4?
chose as my
Yeah.
business partner. Like it's
When I
basically
first-
like another marriage. This is what I get.
My first job out of college, in fact, I was working for a French subtitling company, and I worked quite a bit,
Whatever
like
that
you know,
is.
like 60 to 80 hours a week, sometimes even more than that. But I had this grand scheme that I would write down in a notebook, which is that I could work 60 hours over a 3-day period with like certain bit of naps, and then I'd have the rest of the week. I would just power through. Anyway, I'm
No,
babbling.
that's true. I was there. I remember.
Yeah.
So
the
would you
answer,
take like 4-hour-long naps a day if you're working?
Yeah, I would. Some
I
crazy
understand.
system that I would keep. I'd be fueled on caffeine and cigarettes, and I'd just keep plowing through the subtitling. Anyway,
These are all
And I'd
brilliant
be
ideas.
calling him and he wouldn't
Yeah.
be picking up. That's what would happen.
Yeah.
The
You'd
answer
be
is-
texting and, oh, there's no texting then. You'd be calling each other
I'd
and
be calling and calling.
missing yeah, I know how it
Knocking
goes.
on the window. Honey.
the answer, is clearly Emma and Courtney are right. Clearly, not only because it's my favorite thing to crap on billionaires and to crap on rich people, to crap on Disney, but also that she's basically telling us that our business is okay. She's basically saying that like we should have
She
her
is.
as an investor because like we're probably one of the few that beat this drum regularly. So thank you, Abigail Disney.
I
So
would
true.
happily reach out to her. And before you go, Courtney, because I
Yeah.
know you have to go get
Oh, I
your
thought I could
daughter.
go.
what is one thing we should know? What's happening with Damien's birthday? Worst birthday experience? One make Damien slightly uncomfortable.
Honey, I don't think I've ruined any of your birthdays, have I?
Well, theoretically, no. And
I've
Matt,
ruined
just so
Christmas
the
almost every
audience
year.
knows, Courtney knows this about me, and Emma probably has already guessed, Matt, but I'm always uncomfortable. I'm
Yeah.
Well, I know that.
constantly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a lot
that's
of
not.
energy
Yeah,
mitigated
even when
now,
I'm
yeah.
totally relaxed and happy and watching like Curb Your Enthusiasm, I'm miserably uncomfortable. So.
That's.
What
Well,
a way to
how
live.
do you live with that on a daily basis? Are you constantly
Listen
comfortable?
to me. When I met the guy, I knew
Oh, here we
within
go.
like 10 seconds this was the one for me. I knew it. I also knew
Uh-oh.
I would never be bored. And that was
That's
very
the
important to
answer.
me. Very important.
That's the answer. She chooses to be entertained by it, Matt.
I
That's
do.
the answer.
But
Unlike
sometimes
our
it's like-
audience.
Although I did kind of rip you a new one the other day. I'm sorry about that, honey. Can I say
The other day. I mean, yeah, that's
The
their-
other day.
yeah.
I don't know. He's just totally original, totally wonderful. I love him.
Yeah. Well.
And you're
All right,
making
well,
him
that's
probably
biased.
uncomfortable by complimenting
I
him.
know.
Yeah,
so
that's even worse.
You're doing your
This
job
is
even
even
Well,
better.
worse.
This is why Matt is my business partner, because I knew there'd be no compliments coming.
Yeah, I never compliment him. I know better than to compliment.
Yeah, he
I
knows
don't tell
better.
him he's good at anything.
Yeah.
No, I know. He'll tell you exactly how he's not. Right.
He doesn't need me
this
to
is fun.
not
This is not getting
compliment
fun.
him, I guess. There we go. I got what I wanted.
Yeah, you got
He's
one.
moderately uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Courtney,
No, you
thank
got
you
me.
for joining us. Happy birthday, Damien.
Yes.
And
Yes.
let's get back to the rest of this show because it's going to go 7
All right.
hours long. We'll see you later, Courtney.
See you later. Bye.
Thanks, Courtney.
Now I feel stupid talking about Peter Thiel. I mean, even
Aw.
more stupid than I already did talking about Peter Thiel. But
Well,
thank
we
you
got to
for
make
that.
it quick because I got to go too now. It's like
Mhm.
7
All right.
o'clock.
Well, I don't know how to make this quick. All right. Okay. Let's get back to it. Enemy number 1 was Buffett. Enemy number 2, Jamie Dimon. Enemy number 3, of course, is Larry Fink. But I just want to quickly play clip 11 because here's where he introduces his New York bias, and I just thought this was just I don't know. This interested me. Go ahead. Clip number 11.
There's of course the New York City banker bias.
Okay, well, 2 things. First of all, everyone should know at this point that when you talk about a New York City banker bias, you're talking about Jewish people. I mean, the New York
Aw.
bias is it code for. I'm just saying we don't have to talk about it, but for those of us in the know, we know this. But second of all, can I just say that this is where he starts to get extremely stuttery at this point in the speech? Is that talking about these people and these things, and this is why I had that clip pulled. Because he's becoming a stuttery mess. I just thought it was fascinating.
He does when he talks about like the things in theory, like he shows the picture of a machine gun and versus like the Wayfish Ethereum. He shows you a picture of like Buffett with rat poison under it. But when he has to say their names out loud
Yeah.
and actually like attack them individually, he doesn't really do that. He kind of
Right.
like backs. He only talks about it in
Faceless
like
bureaucrat.
theory. It's like he almost talks about the faceless thing and then shows a face of an enemy, but doesn't
Yeah,
say
put up
anything
the-
about him.
Put up the Larry Fink BTC versus ESG picture, Emma.
Mm-hmm. Got
Yeah,
it.
Fink is his last enemy.
Yeah, this is his last enemy, and this is where we'll start to talk about ESG. For those of you watching live, come on, look at that. I mean, it's
Who's
a giant
watching
picture.
live?
It's a giant picture of Larry Fink with New York City in the background.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I mean, what? I mean, what the hell? All right, so okay, this is where he introduces ESG, the concept of ESG. Surprisingly, I mean, really, the whole speech is amazing and surprising. But you might as well just play that clip, Emma, because there's a lot to talk about.
The label they've come up with, and perhaps the real enemy is ESG, and which it's always sort of unclear what it means. You might think of it as not charitable for me to sort of name some enemies here, but I think that ESG is just a hate factory. It's a factory for naming enemies, and we should not be allowing them to do that.
Okay, before you get going, Matt, can I just say how much I love the circular logic of a guy naming enemies, and then calling out the hate factor that names enemies. Like these are. I mean, this is the greatest thing. I mean, I don't know if the guy again. I don't know if he's a moron or just like ultra clever, but I don't know what's going on here. It's crazy.
That was literally my one note was like the guy is listing enemies out who he hates,
explicitly calling them enemies.
And saying ESG is a hate factory.
Because he said ESG is the real enemy here. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
He goes on to say that when you think, he said, again, these are quotes, when you think ESG, you should be thinking CCP. And for those of you who don't know, that's the Chinese Communist Party, right?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I like that also. The deep understanding he has of ESG is so deep that he doesn't understand that actual ESG raters and data and analysts and whatever, they have an anti-China bias built into it. Like they rate China terribly. China sucks for everything in ESG. I won't go into an ESG rant, but it's so surface binary as to be comical at some point.
Yeah, it's childish, and you're right to point that out, Matt. Because the thing the thing for the nerdiest ESG people like me, the reason why we hate China is not some geopolitical thing. It's because they don't disclose anything. They hide. They are very Peter Thielian. They're genius Peter Thiels because they just don't tell you anything about anything, and it's maddening. It's from a researcher's perspective, it's absolutely maddening. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about here. I like this quote. He says ESG has been surprisingly inclusive. The only things that are not liked are some of the carbon industries and Bitcoin. So that's what he thinks of ESG, that they like. First of all, he's saying that they're a hate factory that has a lot of enemies, but he's saying that the only thing they don't like actually are carbon companies and Bitcoins. I don't really know.
Well, there's an ellipses there into, because the other companies are subject to political control.
Those would be the woke companies, right?
Which the grand irony is, carbon industries are largely state-owned industries. Globally,
yeah, that's true.
It's like, what?
Like Gazprom, which has been in the news in Russia. Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't understand any of it. It's so lacking any real substance. Not to mention the fact that ESG is just like a bunch of data that you use. Forgetting, if you just put that aside,
no, it's a hate
ESG
factory.
Doesn't hate or like anything. There's not a thing that it hates and likes.
We make that point a lot, and I think that Courtney coming on, it demonstrates this point, is that you can have your own personal biases, which I do, and I might use ESG data to point me in that direction. I might talk a lot about CEO pay ratio if that's my thing, but that's not what ESG is. ESG is a collection of data, and you can analyze it from any perspective that you need to. It's not left, it's not right, it's nothing. All it really is, maybe you could call it academic because there's a pursuit of knowledge, a pursuit of data. That's about it. I don't know. It's not left.
I mean, showing a picture of Larry Fink's face and talking about woke companies in ESG, when his last letter literally said ESG is not woke. We don't do it's like there's so much circuitous. It's so simplified.
Yeah.
As to basically it was like he was looking for cheers from a stupid audience.
That is what he's doing, and the audience doesn't really give him the love he's looking for. No, they don't seem to care. All right, so he also
did not care.
This is where he he's talking a lot about ESG. This is where he likens IPOs to a government takeover, which is
obviously
interesting from a man who has been a part of a lot of IPOs, some of the most famous, lucrative IPOs in recent American, corporate history.
I mean, he runs the Founders Fund, which basically is a venture fund that helps companies IPO.
Right.
And on top of that, earlier he says money managers intentionally keep things complicated because if you only had to buy Bitcoin, what would they do? Says a guy who's a money manager. He's actually raising and managing their money.
Who has raised his billions on the open IPO market, essentially.
Unbelievable.
So there you go. And he says, so this is why he's talking about this, because he says the good part about Bitcoin is that it's not a company, does not have a board. We don't know who Satoshi is. And I will agree with him here. I, I will agree with him here that I don't know who the F Satoshi is either. I don't even know what Satoshi. What is Satoshi? I don't even know what he's talking
He's
about.
supposedly the Jesus of Bitcoin. He founded
Okay.
it.
He's the unknown
Fine. So
founder.
he wins on that one. All right. So finally, we can wrap this up. He finally he's cultivating his list of enemies. He's going somewhere, and this is where he's going. He's going to a group of people. And Emma, if you could put up that fourth image.
This is great.
That's that's this is what he calls he calls them the finance gerontocracy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not even the financial gerontocracy. I don't know, the finance gerontocracy that runs the country, and he means the United States. That's what he's referring to. Although, if you look closely at this picture, Matt, first of all, it's centered on Larry Fink's big ESG head, and he's flanked by Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon, and then behind him is a row of what looks like, I suppose, the leaders of the Chinese Communist Party. Right? Is that what we're seeing here? And then there's New York behind that, and then. And then are there mountains behind that? Because there are no mountains in New York City. Oh no, that's Warren Buffett's shoulder. Okay, I see what's going on here. Okay.
I really, if you're Brian Moynihan, the CEO of Bank of America, are you happy that you're not in this picture? Or are you upset that you're not in this picture?
What about Jane Fraser?
Yeah, what about Jane Fraser? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're too young to be part of the gerontocracy, maybe.
Let's talk about the gerontocracy. So, the gerontocracy, I guess, is supposed to refer to people in their 80s, right? Isn't that what
I don't know, but he lists as part of like the enemies, accountants, HR, and legal as part of this like finance gerontocracy, the New York. And what struck me when he lists them is they're token female roles at these corporations most of the time, right? Like, and he's actually at least
overlooking,
at least on this point, he's very consistent because his firm, which is the Founders Fund, there's 18 people on the management team, 3 women and 2 people of color. And don't worry, because one of the women is the head of communications at his company.
Well, and it's true too. The entire speech is not a whiff of a person of color or a woman anywhere in the speech. Not even a reference. Not even on the enemy list. Okay, right. So the woke company, but even the woke poster child is Larry Fink. So I don't. Anyway,
man.
So the definition of a gerontocracy is a state run by old people. I was looking at the ages. So Peter Thiel is 54. Jamie Dimon is 66. Is that enough of a difference here? That
no. Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I'm not won by that argument. Yeah. So here's where we come to in the speech. We've come to the final, the conclusion, and this is what this whole thing is about. This is about the finance gerontocracy versus the revolutionary youth movement. These are his words, and I guess by what he's told us is the finance gerontocracy is a collection of woke companies and ESG purveyors. That's what the finance gerontocracy is.
Like it, yeah.
And the revolutionary youth movement, miraculously including Peter Thiel at 54, is Bitcoin, right? And as Emma has put up, his idea of youth, I suppose, is Miami, Florida. Yeah, which to a lot of us, especially on the East Coast, is the opposite of youth.
Where old people go to retire.
Go to die. Yeah.
Isn't the crypto establishment trying to make Miami like the crypto epicenter of the country, world, whatever?
I think that's amazing that they don't understand the irony of that, given that the amount of energy it takes to mine Bitcoin is helping to destroy the planet. And the first place in the United States that's going to be underwater is actually Miami. Miami is
that's
like
ground
zero.
Yeah.
So they're going to make the headquarters of Bitcoin in the United States a place that is definitely going to be underwater in 20 years.
But Matt, I think they're solving that with those 3-foot surf walls. That's going to take care of it.
I did see that. Yeah, that should take care of the ocean.
The next 8 years. Yeah.
The ocean.
Look, Florida really, what Florida has become in the current age is it's the resting place for the lunatic fringe, right? I mean, it's the new MAGA world. I guess that's what it means by this. It's not youth. We don't associate Florida with youth. We associate them with with libertarian freaks
That's the other thing, is that Miami
haters?
is definitely a very different place than other locations in Florida. But when
Yeah.
I say Florida, does your brain go youth? No, it goes
No, it's-
retirement
Let's
home.
try it. Let's try it. You say
Yeah.
Florida. Go ahead.
It definitely does not go to youth. Miami again has become the place where a lot of the angry MAGA billionaires are relocating them. Right, that's what we know. The Kushners, the Trumps, right?
Yeah,
This
it's all
is a
about
known.
DeSantis.
Yeah, but again, youth doesn't mean youth here, Emma. It literally means Bitcoin. Again, the finance gerontocracy, which is ESG woke, versus the revolutionary youth movement, which actually means Bitcoin. Again, these are all his quotes, and the conference ends with this moment where he says, and I probably should have had you pull a clip on this, but I'll just tell you what he says. He says, the last part of his speech, quote, "And we have to just go out from this conference and take over the world," end quote. So that's what this is. And,
What a cry.
yeah, and really when you listen to the speech and you hear the simplicity of it and you hear the words, the diction of it, it does sound a lot like it sounds a lot like Trump's January 6th insurrection speech. There's a similar vibe to it, right? There's like a rallying of the what did I say? I like being beeped though. It's a rallying of the crazies, but that's it. That's the Peter Thiel 2020 Bitcoin conference keynote address covered by Business Pants. Did I leave anything out?
Here's what
Matt?
here's what I like about
Yeah.
ending it with, let's go from this conference to take over the world. Do you remember all the other revolutions that started at a conference that cost $249 a day to go to? All of them start there.
Yeah.
That's where it happens.
Yeah.
Well played.
Wait, that's a good question. Not to ruin a good point, which has been this masterful performance that we've given to you, but to the Bitcoin conference, you do pay in Bitcoin, right? The website doesn't ask you to pay in dollars, does it?
Actually,
Someone should check into that.
It literally says pay with dollars or pay with Bitcoin. So
no, it doesn't. See, that's
yes, it
not
does.
fair. See,
You-
that's hardly a
you have the
revolution.
option
Yeah,
to pay with either.
that's terrible.
Because what if you don't have any Bitcoin, but you want to
Yes.
go to the Bitcoin conference?
Well, I guess Larry Fink is preventing you from owning it, or
If it
something
wasn't
like
for the
that?
gerontocracy, you'd just be paying in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
That's all we've got, because this is like a 6-hour show. Happy
we
birthday,
promise we'll-
Damien.
Yeah, we'll get back to our normal shorter shows, but we had to do this. We had to cover Peter, the wonderful, lovely, beautiful Peter Thiel. Yeah.
That's not the way you started the show. That is Emma Lurking. I am Damian Rollis. No, I am Matt Muscardi. That is Damian Rollis. We are Free Float Media. If you like this, we'll be back tomorrow with more Business Pants. Good.